with the UK Speaker having conversations that are directly interfering into our domestic politics. It exposes your
Look at her face on
intentions to
TV.
intervene at all levels to stop Brexit. It is immoral. Shame on you. And Mr. Barnier, I note throughout your speech, sir, you kept referring to the British negotiators as just British. We are the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and that will never change. Brexit was not a rejection of Europe or our wonderful European friends. It was a rejection of the anti-democratic nature of EU institutions. And you confirmed to us every day it was right to leave. Thank you.
I was so angry. I love it at the end. I go, thank you.
That was very brilliant, that was.
I was in a rage.
That was
Because when
good.
you're in the middle of it and you know all the shenanigans and the lies and the tricks that these people with power, unaccountable power, were playing against the British and the Northern Irish, you just know that they were wrong uns. And it was Shakespearean levels of knavery going on, and we were all a part of it, and I just couldn't stand it. It was so wrong. So anyway, yes, I didn't make many friends over in Brussels.
Well, there's still
No, you didn't, did you?
No,
But listen, let's talk. I mean, at the moment, Merkel is coming over tomorrow. She's a useless, stupid woman as well, because quite frankly, she's trying to turn the whole of Europe with France, and they're not going to manage either, against us. I mean, she's trying to make Europe ban the Brits. I mean,
know,
what sort of thoughts go through her tiny little mind?
I think, one, she's on her way out, so she doesn't have much longer to serve. So she's getting quite frightened about her project. She's talking as if she's she's very insecure about the project, that she can no longer sell the EU on its merits. So she has to make examples out of the British so that no one else leaves. And, because we're doing quite well, there's no Armageddon, and Brexit is actually serving the Brits quite well. Merkel's on to sort of plan B, which is right. Now what else can we do to make it frightening for people to leave? Let's ban the Brits based on no reason whatsoever. The justification.
Well, our own bad publicity that we've been given out.
Yeah,
Well, why don't we do it? If I was the Prime Minister, and I'm actually, we talked to Lord John Bird before, I think I might apply to become a People's Peer.
Ooh.
Don't know how you do it, but
Do you
I'm
apply,
sure
or doesn't someone say you should do it?
No, apparently you can apply
Just
for it
apply.
and say you want to be the
We'll do
Anyway,
it
it's
now.
a thought.
You'd be
but
good.
if I was, I would say, look, Merkel, I don't want you. Go away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you were coming over to meet me at number 10. I don't want to see you at the moment because you're talking such rubbish and you're letting the people of Europe down, because you are basically, aren't you, a dictator, right? So, sod off, Merkel. You
The thing
ain't
is, if
coming
you were
over.
in the House of Lords, you'd turn up wearing your long leather thigh-high boots and all that stuff, wouldn't you? And wigs and things. And you'd
what's wrong
overdo
with
it.
that?
You'd overdo it a bit.
No,
It's not like that anymore.
No.
I think you'd look great.
And I hear you were out drinking, by the way, earlier on some social media. Apparently you were out celebrating the England win against Germany.
No, I'd watched the game and I went out just to get some more tea bags because I like drinking tea during my game. And it was
want a
just
gin and tonic?
filled with. No, I was being very good actually this time. And there were groups of young men celebrating, cheering, singing. I got hugs, I got high five, and it was just such a.
Anything else you got?
No, I mean I know, not even a kiss or anything.
okay.
Well, the thing
Must
is,
be
if we
getting
win
old.
now, if we win the Euros now, it can actually be a big boost to the economy if you win something like that. And we've got Ukraine next, so we're playing Ukraine, so we'll win that. So we've got a shoe in for the final, and we'll probably be playing Belgium or Spain.
Can you imagine? I mean, that the emotion.
Then we'll
of it
lose
all.
in the final.
No, don't say
no,
that.
no, maybe not. We might not.
If we won against
Well, you need to
Germany.
keep yourself under control, Belinda, for that, because I haven't forgotten when we were out the other night.
I do tend to lose it when I'm very happy and the night is balmy and the stars above, but it was a special win tonight, very emotional and very exciting. So I'm just thrilled for England.
Incredible.
Give her a hug from me, will you, Ash? Just pop over there.
We're
and
not
give her a
allowed,
hug.
are we?
Oh,
Why not?
Oh, is that allowed in the mill?
I don't know.
Give her a hug.
Well, no, might
Yeah,
get
go and give her a
arrested,
hug.
I mean.
Go on.
Why
You can
don't-
only see this on Talk Radio TV, and
We're not
if you're
allowed at
watching
work.
this, you're losing it.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Look,
I mean, we might
all
have
those
already
people-
anyway.
Yeah, we've already
Yeah.
had several hugs. They've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
lovely.
No, we haven't really.
yes, you
haven't.
have. You have. Well, who's going to do anything about it?
Yeah, exactly.
authorities.
Come and arrest me. I'm
What
done.
authorities? There's 60 million or something in Wembley today. Yeah. They were singing, they
They're
were
all
chanting,
hugging each other,
they
weren't
were
they? Yeah.
hugging.
The footballers all hugging
you know.
each other, dignitaries all
and
hugging
so
each
why
other.
should anybody else, who's that shouting in my ear?
Hayley.
And they would say, yeah, do you know, we have got the
Oh, they were swapping
shit-
shirts, which,
yeah, but I
spreads
don't
diseases.
need Hayley going on about how much she likes naked
want to swap
men
shirts?
in my ear while I'm
Swap
trying to
shirts.
do a serious, sensible show.
I used to, when I went to watch the rugby, I'd always watch.
Why are you doing
swap
that?
my
After
England.
the show, we'll swap shirts like they do in the football.
So
Yeah.
I always
Ash.
swap shirts.
Yeah, man.
That's why she was doing her zip up.
I'm not doing a zip up. What are
That's
you
your
like?
filthy imagination again.
Is it? I'm just, yeah. Anyway, listen, you know exactly what we're like. What do you mean, what are we like? You tweet it out all the time, what we're like.
No, I know. It's fun.
Actually, why are you dressed up this evening, now I come to think about it?
Why wouldn't she be?
Yeah.
Well,
She always is
a
when
couple
she
of hours
comes in.
ago, she was out getting tea bags,
Yeah.
and now she's...
Oh, well, I
dressed
just put
in
a jacket
black
on. This is just a jacket. It's
Oh,
just got
right,
it's
what
just
is-
got massive shoulder pads like I'm from the 80s.
Did you go
like
out
a
in
space
half time for
jacket.
your tea bags?
No, at the end.
Oh, right.
Yeah. No, it was all,
And
it's
why
all
are you
good, but the
talking like
streets
that
were
as well?
filled with people, just joyous
Yeah,
and
celebrating.
celebrating. And this is
But
what's
not drinking tea.
so sad is that all the weddings that have been reduced to 30 and the funerals, and they're probably thinking this just isn't fair.
60,000.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
fair.
Yes.
And I think Boris would be very wise to say tomorrow, right, rules are off, weddings, funerals, gatherings should just crack on. He can't say anything else other than from the scenes today.
No.
It's just not fair.
And after
No,
Matt
and
Hancock.
people walking around in offices and buildings wearing masks, they look ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm not doing it.
Depends.
Arrest me.
Some have very nice
I'm
designer
not doing
masks. The guys at Virgin Radio,
And the
they have
people with
nice ones.
designer masks look absolutely stupid. I'm sorry. Absolutely stupid.
Depends what
I mean, the thing is that it's just... I'll tell you what the saddest... And we'll move on and talk about something... Well, I don't know if it's more important or not, but I was with my grandchildren. Yeah, I have grandchildren. And Ella, my granddaughter, who is 16, well, nearly 17, she told me, not just 16,
Yeah.
is very upset because her school ball or prom or whatever they call it now
Yeah.
has been cancelled. And they've just decided to cancel it, and, you know, she just got the dress.
Yeah. A lot of them
and-
use it for an excuse, don't they? So they don't have to do stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of
Well-
businesses.
Yeah.
They use code because they can't be bothered to do things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but schools, you know, these kids are coming up to the time when they're leaving school, and they're not going to have a really good end of school career time, are they?
And sports days, you can't go and watch if you're a parent, and that's what sucks. I mean, it's wonderful seeing the scenes today, but there are so many other areas that are cancelled, to do with family life and coming of age events like galas and ceremonies and all the things that parents want to see
Yeah.
their children do, and that's been taken away from us for no reason whatsoever. So, you know, it's a bit annoying.
Give me your thoughts as a former MEP, as we've just heard, and obviously a brilliant MEP, and hopefully going in again at some point. What are your thoughts that now Europe are going to require arrivals from the UK to isolate for 14 days? They think so. Nobody's going to go. I mean, what do you think we should do?
I think, to be honest, I think it's a really dangerous game that Merkel and Macron are playing, trying to persuade much poorer southern European nations not to take Brits, because their tourism industry relies so much on Brits going over and having a visit. And just because they want to stick it to the Brits, the Germans and the French, they're trying to take it away from Spain and Portugal and Greece and all these countries that really need us, and we need them. I think what's going to happen, I don't know if you've seen, sort of Greece has said, not on your Nelly, Merkel. We are accepting Brits.
They
and
want
you
us,
can't.
yeah.
They're defying, Frau Merkel, and I think it's really brave. But, this comes at a cost.
But why would Macron do it? Because a lot of Brits have second homes in France. A lot of Brits go to France on holiday every year. Why Macron isn't going to be there much longer?
They're
anyway.
punishing us, aren't they? And they bully
Why
like the
doesn't he-
smaller countries like Greece. That's what they do.
Because Germany and France don't care about economies. They care about their project. France is terrified of Germany. They have been since, the First World War. They're terrified of an independent Germany.
Well, we stop the Germans, don't we? I mean, the Germans are not going to do anything again.
That's what they said after the...
Well, think about it. The Germans are in control of the Corona Recovery Fund. They've got Ursula von der Leyen, the Commission President. She's German.
She
they're
is
in
useless.
control of the vaccine.
Only name on the
They're-
ballot as well.
She wasn't even elected. Exactly. There is an imbalance of power in the EU, and since the UK left,
It's a dictatorship.
they're not guarded
It's not,
from
it is
anymore.
a dictatorship.
So it is frightening.
a
actually.
dictatorship.
They're lashing out, aren't they, a bit?
They are
Because
lashing out.
they're losing.
But the
I mean.
French people, and I know quite a lot from where I used to live in France, they want the Brits to come back. They want the holidaymakers to come
And
back.
Spain
the
do.
Brits that used to
Yes.
pop
We're their
over
main source.
to Brittany and, to places not far away where the weather is wonderful, and they want us back. But what is wrong with these sodding politicians?
Well, I
What's
think
making you
in
laugh?
part maybe Merkel said to her people that they don't have to race the Brits to get their towels on the sunbeds anymore. That was always a major
True,
factor.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I don't know what it is. I think that all the southern European countries will defy the northern ones like Germany, and they will accept the Brits because they're friends with us and they don't hold grudges, and they're also quite highly Eurosceptic because the southern countries have not fared well under the euro. Greece and Italy, certainly. I think the quarantining as well isn't as strict. I've had friends call up from Italy, saying they don't really check on you.
I can't imagine Italians doing all that.
No, can you really? And all the paperwork? Nah. So I think it's a lot of talk and not really much action.
I always remember, one thing I remember, I went to Florence once, and I remember in that square where all the statues are, and I was just in a side street, and there were 3 policemen. And the policemen always look very smart. Have you ever noticed in Italy? Always very smart. There were 3 policemen looking in a shop window, doing all this to their uniforms before they walked out into the square, getting themselves really very, very tidy, and one of them pulling up his long boots. It was quite funny. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen, in fact.
Yeah, no, they're quite beautiful, actually, the Italian
But are they any
police.
good? Are they any good as police?
Oh gosh, can we stop talking about men you find? You're sitting in with 2 of the most beautiful men
That is
you could ever meet.
true, but you are talking about men in uniform as well.
Long boots.
Do you like that?
Of course.
Ash, slip out and put your uniform on.
All right, what, my talk radio uniform?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll take a short
What that
break.
looks like.
Right, okay, listen, let's talk about some serious things. First of all, the Turner Contemporary, the museum, I suggest nobody goes there. Who would want to go there? Because they have now decided that they are going to, the Turner Contemporary Gallery is going to replace kids' books with woke titles on race, climate change and equal rights. What is wrong with these people?
I think there's a lot wrong with them. I think wokery is actually quite a dangerous thing to teach children. It ring fences people off from criticism. Certain groups it allows you to target. And it's open season on certain groups with the woke. So they also try and brainwash children. There's no critical thinking. There's no questioning encouraged. This is the way you should think.
This is good and that is bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also anyone who doesn't think like you need to hate them because they are the
bad,
others.
and they should be cancelled.
Yeah, and they should be and it's so dangerous telling children to judge people on certain identity groups that they belong to. It teaches division. So all these books that they're replacing, lovely children's books, like Miffy. I was reading the lovely
Miffy?
Miffy, the bunny.
Who's Miffy?
It's just an old
What
children's
then?
book from the 80s.
I mean, that sounds.
And they've
rather
taken that off the
suggestive to me, but-
shelves, and now it's all lecturing.
They've still got the tiger that came for tea. Have they got that?
I
one
don't know
as
if
well?
that will be allowed for much
I hope
longer.
so.
But
Well,
yeah.
they're getting all upset about Enid Blyton, for goodness
What about the
sake.
Wombles? Is the Wombles all right? Kids you don't see the Wombles enough anymore, do you?
No, I love the
And they were
Wombles.
environmentally friendly, weren't
And
they?
Paddington, he's probably going to get the chop.
Well,
I
no,
mean,
he's
they
like
are.
got cinema. He's got the film, hasn't he?
Oh, yes,
He's
well,
quite a movie star now, although it's not the same. It's not the same.
Well, they
Paddington.
wanted to take Fireman Sam off because he wasn't gender neutral and he
That's
was
true.
called Fireman Sam, and he needs to be called a fire officer. I mean, I don't know who's sitting
Postman
around.
Pat.
Postman Pat.
Postperson Pat.
I don't know any women complaining about Fireman Sam or Postman Pat. It's a group of funny old weird people sat round a secret room making up what's offensive and what's not offensive and starting to lecture children instead of giving them creative, fun fairy
And free
tales.
thought.
I'm
as well,
so
teaching
I'm
them
so
to-
tempted to say such a rude word. I'm so tempted to say, you choose the word you think I want to say, and I would like to say, off all of you. because you really are beginning to me off.
Yeah. I know
What's the
what
word?
you're saying. Push off, of course. It's
Yes, push off. Yeah.
Can't say that.
They should.
Because you can't dictate, and that's what they're doing, and telling, if you don't do what we say, then you are a non-person.
And also, you can't judge people from the past on today's standards. And authors from the past will obviously have spoken and talked in a fashion that we don't today necessarily, but it didn't mean they were bad people.
It's like a degenerate art, isn't it? It's a bit like,
Yeah.
burning the books and the Khmer Rouge, Day Zero,
Yes.
It's terrible.
I think every comedy's going to go. There'll be
Brother.
comedy
Well,
removed
it's
from
already
every
gone a bit,
child's
hasn't it?
book.
Yeah.
Roald
it
Dahl
has
isn't
gone.
going to last very much longer either.
Well, I
No,
mean, his books
no.
were all right. It was just him that was the problem with.
Well, I loved him. I loved his books, but they're going to come for him. But the woke end up eating the woke anyway. It's a weird sort of woke cannibalism that goes on in the end until no one's left.
Well, that's true, isn't it? They go for, in the end. It's like that poem, isn't it? At first they came for this, and then they
Yeah.
and there's no one left.
It was like
Who wrote
it was
that
like
poem?
IKEA. you
Who
know.
wrote it? I don't know.
You know, when IKEA came out and said they're not going to support, a certain new news channel anymore because it wasn't with their
I
human
know.
values. The founder of IKEA
I know.
was riddled with Nazi connections, and they ended up exposing themselves and how terrible their history was. So you shouldn't really this woke
Well, I don't
business.
wish
People
to
in
be
glass
too
houses,
rude about.
yeah.
I don't wish to be too rude about possible advertisers, but I went to that store once. I've never gone back. I bought something from there, and in the end, I burnt the bloody thing because I couldn't put it together. It annoyed me so much. Didn't cost very much. And in the end, I just put it on the bonfire and burnt it.
And it's a
I
one-way
thought, what a
system,
waste
isn't it?
of fu-
Once you
'cause
go
they
in,
have
you
everything-
can't get out. It's like the
Yeah.
ghost train, isn't it?
It's like the
Yeah.
labyrinth.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go there again
No,
for
I'm not going to
anything.
go there again. No, they've gone
No.
woke. Anywhere that's gone woke and starts to lecture their customers,
Yeah.
they're automatically insulting them, and I just don't
Patronising
think
them.
it's their business. A
Go woke,
furniture
go
shop-
broke.
That's a good-
Yeah, I'm not
Like the
interested.
Gillette advert.
We're being lectured
Yeah.
absolutely everywhere by everyone, and it's just noise now. It's no one's listening, I don't think, anymore.
Let's choke the woke.
Yes.
I mean, not obviously physically choke them, but
It's
just
just virtue signaling,
annoy
isn't it?
them.
It's just- that's
Yeah.
all it is.
But it's getting very difficult because the media and the channel you were going to talk about, I mean, that is unfortunately it's just become a bit of a joke, and I don't think it'll do you much harm anyway. But it doesn't seem to be able to get itself together very well, does it?
I think it's got legs. I think it's just
It's got a
early
lot better.
days.
It's got
Yeah,
a lot
it's early
better.
days.
And it's trying something new, I think.
Yeah,
which is
and
good.
you know what? I feel quite protective over it because they've put their necks out, these new presenters, to represent people who haven't been represented on the telly and in news channels.
Well, I
before,
disagree
and
because who's not been represented that they're doing? I disagree completely. I don't see anything different about it at all.
Well, they're a bit anti-woke, aren't they? I mean, you compare it to Sky and BBC.
A bit, they're not. They're just the same as the sit there and then they say, and we're not going to be shouting at anyone. We're just going to be very nice and we're just going to discuss it. Dull. Sorry, and I know your best mate of mine works there, but all I ever see of her is putting her makeup on social media.
It's a big thing when you're a presenter. Get the makeup
What?
right. Also, I
Well,
think it's
I've
really
spent hours-
brave because when you join a news channel like that's going to be called far right Nazi
But
channel.
it's
and
not
the
a
rest of
news
it.
channel, is it?
It's-
It's like an old ladies' meeting place.
It's not. It's much. I think the content is excellent. It just needs a little bit improvement on
Have you
sound.
actually watched it?
Yes, I do. I don't watch BBC and Sky anymore. I don't.
Well, I should hope not.
Like a lot of people.
I'd rather you just watched us.
I have
Mind you,
talk
so-
radio on all the time. But
Excellent.
no,
Well, that's
I've got
okay.
kids. I don't want them brainwashed by
Well,
other
no,
news
but I
stations.
don't see it doing anything different. But maybe I've only watched a few bits when the sound goes wrong and when other people kind of stare into the camera as if they're being hypnotised by somebody. I do watch it occasionally to cheer myself up.
Well, I think it's a
Exactly.
real
And-
loss if it goes because it's the only
Well, it
thing
won't go.
keeping the BBC on its toes.
Well, apparently it's
why'd you
doing
say
very well
that?
with the figures, isn't it, against the BBC and Sky?
Yeah.
Apparently, within the first couple of weeks, it was.
Well, good. Well, I'm pleased.
Andrew Neil's
And,
gone for 2 weeks. He's just gone. I don't know where he's gone. Rumours
He's
are Strictly
probably-
Come Dancing.
He's probably having a. Anyway, never mind. No, listen. The BBC shocking. That's the word I was going to say. Shocking, and it doesn't deserve to be on the air anymore. Don't get me going. And Sky have become completely left wing. Somebody rang me up the other day. Said, "Do you want to come and do a paper review?" And I said, "No." I used to
They
do
ask
them
you
all the
really?
time for a year. For
I
years,
know, I
used
know.
to.
Yeah, a lot of the people
Yeah.
who used to do it, they don't do it anymore. They got rid of
No,
them,
because
didn't they?
it's all
They changed.
woke and horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, that stopped us getting any work anywhere. That's quite good. Let's talk. Oh, you want a break? Oh, okay. Right, we'll do a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about French food. Do you like French food, Belinda?
Yeah, I love it. I love French
Apparently
food.
it's racist,
Like
isn't it?
hash?
Apparently.
Cheese.
Well, we're all racist then.
Well, we're all white
racist.
supremacists anyway, aren't we? Just by our birth.
Well, that was an interesting
Because-
tweet you read earlier. We'll
Oh yeah, I'll mention the tweet after
Yeah,
break
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come right back. Behave yourselves, you two.
This is Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online, on DAB+, and on your smart speaker. Late Nights with James Whale.
On Talk Radio.
Good, welcome back. The James Welsh Show. Sorry, I got into a taxi yesterday and I smacked my head on the top of the door. I've no idea why. I did
Why'd
that.
you do
I mean,
that?
obviously
What'd you do
just
that
for fun.
What?
Well, why do
A
we
black
do
cab,
things like
was
that?
it?
I don't. Yeah, black cab. Yeah.
I mean, they're
I
extra
don't
high
take
as
any
well. I
other
mean,
sort.
to do that.
Yeah, look, can you see that?
Let's have a look. Oh yeah, you can. Yeah. No, it's a bit forward there. Yeah, you smacked it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, terrible. Terrible.
Let's do that.
All right, Belinda.
Yeah, good. I'm sorry about your head, James. That looks awful.
Oh, no, that's nice. Okay, so Dr. Cohen, professor of something or other at Kentucky University, has said that French food is racist, and it is only it only goes to encourage, what do they call it, white privilege.
Why? What's
I mean, what is
racist
this
about?
stupid
What is
knobhead talking about?
What is
I mean,
racist
what is
about
going
French
on?
food? What is it?
There,
Yeah,
there's
tell me.
nothing
Somebody
racist
ring
about
us
it.
now. Tell me what's. Come on, Belinda.
And what do they think's going to happen? These countries are majority white, so of course the dishes are going to be probably mostly majority French dishes. You know, if you were in Nigeria and they had Nigerian cooking, would people then say, "Oh, that's black supremacy food because it doesn't represent other, you know, cultures or this, that, and the other"? It's getting ridiculous now. There is nothing wrong with
I
French
think
food
if you
at
said
all.
that in Nigeria, you'd end up in prison.
What if Nigerian food wasn't good? Who knows?
Well, they said dairy produce was racist, didn't they, the other day?
Oh,
But
they've
I mean,
said bird watching is racist. They've said gardening is racist. They've said the outside, the countryside, is racist. And
It
and if
is a bit,
racism
isn't it,
is
the countryside?
how is
yeah,
it
yeah,
racist,
yeah.
Ash?
When you go in the countryside, you don't see. You only see. It's a lot of white people, don't you? You don't see a lot of.
But
in some-
England's
yeah,
like
yeah.
89%
Do you remember
white
Midsummer
people.
Murders?
What's
That
wrong with
program.
that?
There was a big problem because there weren't in the program. Do
Goodness me.
you remember that? Yeah.
So what? There are parts in
So
this
the countryside
country
is
where
racist.
Hang on. No, flip off. This is just stupid, and I'm getting sick and flipping tired of this. I really am. Okay? I really am. Because there are parts of this country where you don't see very many white faces. They are predominantly Asian or black.
Yeah.
I actually think we should try to integrate ourselves more. But if you come to live in this country and you want to bring your culture, you want to live by your culture, you don't want to learn the language over here, you continually bitch about the place over here, then I don't understand why people come and want to live here. Now, does that make me
We have all the
racist?
different foods here. The more people you get, the better. You know, you get all kinds of lovely.
I mean, my
food, don't we?
favourite food is a curry.
Yeah, what does
As
that
you know,
mean?
I was
mean,
one
does
of the
it-
judges of the Curry Awards.
Is that Asian supremacy? No, it isn't. It's just because you like
No.
a curry. It's nothing identity politicky about food at all. It's getting ridiculous. Oh, you'll love this, James. There's something in America called Race to Dinner, and it's where white ladies are educated about how racist they really are, but they pay thousands of pounds to go to these dinner parties to be lectured at about how terrible they are and how racist they are. And it's a big thing in America. I'm thinking the world is going nuts because now they've done white men. They're clearly now on to, I don't know if you've heard of white tears, white women's tears. That's the latest development in
is
critical
it
race
a white
theory.
women's tears
White
racist?
women's yes, because apparently white women just have to cry and they get what they want. And that's white privilege. And white women need to be told about this. So this, I hope it doesn't catch on in the UK because it's just getting...
Remember Jamie Oliver's jerk sauce? And that was cultural appropriation, wasn't it?
What does he put in jerk sauce?
Don't ask.
No, I don't want to know.
No, don't want to know. But there was a big furore, wasn't there, over it?
Oh, and James, we've just been talking about this tweet that's come out. This is going to drive
is
you nuts.
unbelievable.
This is about that Harry Kane. It's just come up from an Al Jazeera reporter, and she's verified. She's tweeted, "If only Harry Kane didn't have that quintessential colonizer face."
I don't even
And
know
she's
really
just
what that
tweeted-
You're
means.
joking.
I'm
I don't
not
even know what
joking.
that
You're
means.
joking.
Basically saying if only
Well-
he didn't look so white. I mean, it's a horrible racist thing to put out.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
she'll
think
get away
the three
with
of
it.
us. No, she won't. I'm going to moan about it like mad tomorrow. So leave that with my producer. What is her name, by the way?
Her name is Lina Al-Safin, and she's an Al Jazeera
Well,
English
Lina
Al Jazeera
Al-Safin,
reporter.
you are incredibly racist, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And I think we should get somebody from Al Jazeera, a channel I quite like because they actually give you news that we don't get in this country, which I think is
sometimes
quite
good
useful.
programs,
And I actually like France 24 as well, but Russia Today, well, that's just a comedy show. I think you want to be very careful, madam, because I think you might well lose your job for saying that. But I think all three of us here in the James Whale studio of Talk Radio and Talk Radio TV tonight should look into our individual cameras. Are we doing that?
Yes.
That's nice. Yep, thank you. Look into your camera. Yep. And repeat after me. I am very sorry
I am very
I'm very sorry
to have been born with a white skin.
to have been born with a white skin.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
It's not my
My
fault.
fault.
I try very hard in the summer to darken it as much
Well,
as
you've
I
got
can.
orange. You've got an orange face.
Or yeah, exactly. I try very hard to tan it. But we're not responsible. We can't. I don't feel guilty at all for anything I haven't done. I don't feel
Yeah.
any guilt
Nor do
whatsoever.
I. Nor do I. No.
You know, but they're trying to
And
tell
why
us.
Harry
do you
Kane in
ever-
particular? I mean, I don't understand really what she's on about anyway.
It was just a
Nor does
nasty
she.
racist comment. But the problem is, I think racism against whites is so commonplace now. She doesn't even think that's a problem, tweeting that out
It's
as a
amazing,
journalist.
Isn't it? Amazing.
Yeah.
Can you
It's,
send that tweet to me?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. I mean, I actually think that this is we are having, ever since Black Lives Matter came on the scene, I get the feeling that our race relations in this country is getting worse and worse and worse. And I really do. I really
it does,
do.
it cause
and I'm
division, doesn't
very
it?
worried about it.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
it's happening at
I've got
schools.
friends of all. I don't even notice the colour of people who I'm friends with, or nobody else does. It's
Well, how
only
do you know
these
that you've got
people-
black friends, and if you don't notice?
Well, I don't know because they're my mates. I don't know what
They
colour
might not
you
be.
don't- You know, it's just ridiculous. You know, you're Jewish, and thank you, Belinda. That's come through. And I'm just getting sick of it. We're gammon. We're this. We're that. We're privileged because we're white. I'm sick of it. And I think actually you make a good point, Belinda. And if we make a stand on this, we will be called racist.
Well, that's the
But
old.
then
That's
maybe
what,
as
that's
we're
what
all
happens. Isn't it?
super
It's like when all the
beautiful
fans
looking-
boo the knee, they all get called racist.
And surely hasn't
Yeah.
history taught us to tell children that they are flawed based on the colour of their skin, based on their very birth?
It's very bad for them, yeah.
History's taught us that's a really bad thing to do to people.
Well, to children, we're developing what they're
and
thinking.
Exactly. And boys get told they have toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
They get told, they have white
Toxic
privilege, white
masculinity.
fragility, white guilt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no wonder their nerves are torn to shreds before they hit their teens if they're constantly told they're bad. What's the point in them trying to be good? It's
Well,
a
who's
very
telling
dangerous
them
thing to
they're
teach
bad?
in school. Well,
A
for
teacher's
example,
doing this.
no, I'll give you an example. My daughter, I had to complain to the school about this. She was in a class where the teacher asked the children, "What is racism?" And my daughter put her hand up and she sort of summarised, saying it's when you feel you are superior to someone else based on their race or colour of their skin. And she said, "No. It's only white people can be racist." She said this to a class full of Asians, blacks, whites, a whole mix of girls. She said, "No, only white people can be racist." And my daughter then phoned me up really upset afterwards saying since that class, her friendship groups have disintegrated, that non-whites are suspicious of whites. Now white people feel guilty or think that black people are being, targeting them. It's horrible. It's teaching children division.
It's very sinister, isn't it? I mean, is there a reason for all this division? Is there some, Machiavelli?
Can I tell you something now? Can I share this with you as an old person?
Go on then. Yeah.
No, you're supposed to say you're not an old person. Can you stop? Go with read your bloody script.
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah.
Sorry, yes.
You're not old. What are you talking
Your
about,
dewy complexion betrays
Yeah,
that.
thank you very much. It's a bit late now, but anyway, I mean the thing is that there are a large number of countries within Africa that are still blatantly practicing slavery. Now, slavery is a terrible thing, but there is slavery going on in this country today, which is being organized and carried out by people from dark-skinned countries. Now, if that's offensive, tough, but you look into yourselves, and okay, Britain was a part of the slave trade and people didn't think about it, and they should have done. It was an appalling, disgusting, absolutely disgusting way to treat people, and it is carrying on now. William Wilberforce would be turning in his grave.
Yep.
And so rather than throw statues of people in the river or the harbour or the sea or tear down monuments, perhaps start educating some of these African countries, because you won't, because you'll probably get a bayonet stuck through you. You don't have the democracy and the freedom anywhere else in the world that you have here. Nowhere. Not America, nowhere. You do not have the freedom we give. And maybe it's about time we started taking a little freedom back. Maybe Priti Patel has an exceptionally good point. And people who break into this nation, who come across our moat, aided by the French government sometimes, Priti Patel says they're going to go and they're going to be dealt with outside this nation. And I think that's a damned good idea. I don't mind people coming to this country. We need people to come and work in this country and enjoy this country. But you come here because it is a secular nation, because it is a secular country which isn't ruled by stupid religious laws. Used to be.
Yeah, I think there's some blasphemy laws going up in the north. That poor teacher from Batley Grammar.
Yeah.
I mean, you say we're free and liberal, but there are certain parts of the country, unfortunately, that aren't.
Well, I think that should be addressed, because there is no blasphemy in this country anymore, because you're talking about something that may or may not exist.
Well, he was thrown under the bus by the headmaster, wasn't he?
Yeah, he now
their
lives in
master should
fear
be-
of
He
his
can never
life.
go back. He can never become a
But
teacher.
those people apparently were not parents of those children, but people came from outside. And they have been well documented, and they should be caught and locked up.
Absolutely.
Because you don't threaten people with having their heads chopped off in this country. Those people need to be removed.
But they're the same Islamists that made our government, the cowards that they were at that time, refuse sanctuary to Asia Bibi, the persecuted Christian from Pakistan, who begged for sanctuary in the UK, and we said no, because we don't want to upset the Islamists in the UK. They might cause us trouble. So instead of, you're quite right, James, instead of challenging them and really addressing them, we cower. We're frightened of saying anything. We don't want to upset them. We don't want to question them. It's an incredibly weak position, and not enough leaders are speaking out about it.
Last 10 minutes with Belinda De Lucy, MEP, former MEP, not an MEP anymore. Sorry about
Do
that.
you get pension, though? You get a little pension?
Oh,
do you?
no, of course not. No.
Why? Why not?
No, we were
Why not?
in the job for I think it was something like 3 months short.
Oh,
But I don't want to
no.
take any more of taxpayers' money for that useless job anyway. I'm glad. I don't even want people to know what an MEP is really in a few years. I'm like, you were a what? It was a thing
Do
of
you
the
get
past.
a bit of stick in public when you're around or not?
No, not anymore. I really did during those nasty years where the media were whipping up
What sort of thing?
hatred. Oh my gosh. I remember coming back from Brussels when we got to King's Cross, and there was often groups waiting for us, and women spitting on us. Oh, I was called the
No,
C word in the
really?
street, Nazi,
Oh, no.
C word, this, that, and the other. I had cars pulling up beside, winding down their windows saying C word.
James gets that a lot as well.
Oh, James, I'll protect you. Anyway,
That's
I didn't.
fine.
It didn't
Well,
bother
Not
me
for
that
political
much, but
reasons, though. No.
It's all over now. It's like everything's been diffused and everyone's moved on, and it's actually quite lovely.
The Remainers are a lot worse than the Brexiters. I mean, we
They
found
are.
that with you, James, didn't we? Because when you were
You were in the dark side, James. weren't you?
and they were a lot worse, weren't they? When you changed, they were a lot a lot worse than the Brexiters.
Well, yeah, I
I mean, really
didn't
horrible
get
things.
much-
They say horrible
Horrible
things.
I didn't get very much stick from the Brexiters,
Brexiteers,
and
yeah.
I was a Remainer because I hadn't really thought it through, and it seemed a good way of winding people up. Until then, I met this lady, and she sat me down and explained it all to me, and I realised, and now I have become even more vehement than Nigel. And Nigel was always my mate, even before, when he invited me to be the UKIP mayoral candidate right back the first time there was ever going to be a
Yeah.
mayor of London.
I'm
I
afraid you
went
will
through it
always
all.
remain a Remainer, because that's what you
Oh,
can.
shut up.
But a
I'm not a
reformed one,
Remainer.
a reformed Remainer.
I'm not a Remainer, mate.
Well,
I
yeah, I mean,
realised
you
I
are.
was
You're
wrong, and
reform-
I'm
you always,
prepared to
Oh,
admit
I've
it.
missed this. Oh my God, it's like I yearn for the days where this was all we had to worry about.
Exactly. Yeah, the good old days.